Okay, so this is absolute value equations. First off, we need to know what absolute value is. And here we have a definition which says the distance a number is from zero. Okay, so we can always think of the absolute value of -2. And again, absolute value is always represented by two lines. Whatever's inside is what we're taking the absolute value of. So here we have the absolute value of -2. And since it's calculating the distance from zero, we look at -2 and we say, how big is this distance? Well, that distance is 2. Okay? And the same with any positive number. We can think of from 2 to 0, we still get 2. Okay? So let's take a look at example number 1, just so that we understand what absolute value means. We have the absolute value of x equals 5. Okay? So when I think about with variables absolute value, I have to think, okay, well, I know that what that means is whatever inside here equals 5, right? Because, or it equals -5, because I can have a positive 5 in there as x. X could be positive 5, or x could be -5. Because both of these numbers, when I take the absolute value of them, I get 5. So whenever I look at an equation with absolute value, I always want to split it into two separate equations. I'm going to split it into the first one, and the first one I'm going to say, I'm going to get rid of the absolute value symbols, and I'm going to say x equals 5. But the second equation is I have to account for the fact that it could be a negative number in there. So what I'm going to do is, instead of making this number negative, I'm going to make this number negative. Okay? So whenever I get rid of absolute value symbols, all I do is I make two situations. I make one equation where it's positive, and I make one equation where it's equal to a negative. And these would be my answers right here. So it's possible for x to equal 5, or x equals -5. So let's take a look at example 2. Example 2 says solve this equation. So now we're getting a little bit harder. But we still want to follow the same idea. So the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of these absolute value symbols. And in order to do that, I need to make two equations. So I'm going to make one there, and I'm going to make one there. My first one is, it's going to be exactly the same as this one without the absolute value, because I need a positive case. But I also need a negative case. So I have one where it's equal to positive 16 and one where it's equal to negative 16. And then I just solve them just like I would any other equation. So add 4, and I can actually add 4 over here too. We solve them at the same time. I get 4x equals, here I get 20. Here I get 4x equals -12. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. In both cases, I get, in this case, I get x equals 5, and in this case, I get x equals -3. So my solution is x equals 5, or x equals -3. Okay? So those are basic absolute values. But we also have to know about this. So extraneous solution, and basically this is just a real basic definition, just says an answer that does not satisfy the original solution. So whenever we're dealing with absolute values, it's very possible to get an equation where the answer that we get doesn't make any sense in the original equation. Okay, and let's take a look at an example like that. So solve the equation and check for extraneous solutions. Okay, so example number 3, I'm going to do the same exact thing that I did before. Okay, but here, look at, I have this weird thing over here. It's not just one number. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, again, split it into 2. So I get 9 minus 2x equals 10 plus 3x. And then my second equation is 9 minus 2x equals, and remember, I'm applying the negative to the whole thing, so I'm going to put it in parentheses, equals -10 plus 3x. Okay? So let's take a look at this one. If I'm going to solve this one, I think I should probably, let's move the x's this way. and at the same time I'm going to move my numbers this way. Okay, so 9 minus 10, well that's negative 1, equals 3 plus 2, that's 5. If I finish this, I get x equals negative 1/5. Let's take a look at what I get over here. Well, I have to apply that negative, so let's do that first. Oops. We get 9 minus 2x equals negative 10 minus 3x. Okay, so all I did was I distributed my negative, right? Now what do? Well, if I move my x's here, this one's larger, so I'm going to get a positive, so that's what I'll do here. And since I'm moving my x's this way, I want to move my numbers that way, right? Negative and positive, I get x equals 10 and negative 9. Negative 10 and negative 9 is negative 19. Okay, so solve this one, solve this one. I should be done, but it says that I need to check for extraneous solutions. So if I go back and I plug in these, I need to make sure that they make sense. So let's give that a shot. I have the absolute value of 9 minus 2 times negative 1/5 equals 10 plus 3 times negative 1/5. And I'm running out of room here. Let's try the negative 19. So absolute value of 9 minus 2 times 19, times negative 19 equals 10 plus 3 times negative 19. Well, not so fun numbers here, but let's take a look. 9 minus 2 times, well, I have a negative times a negative, so I'm going to get positive 2/5. So I'm going to get absolute value of 9 plus 2/5, which is going to be just over 9, right? Equals, this is going to be 10 minus 3/5. So here I have a positive, here I have a positive, and 3/5 is just over 1. Is this going to equal out? I don't think it is. So if I actually equal this out, I have 9 and 2/5, but here, the absolute value of 9 and 2/5, but here I get 10 minus 3/5. Well, actually that does work out. That's 9 and 2/5. So I'm good there. That's an okay solution. Maybe this one doesn't work out so well, so let's give it a shot. Negative 19 times negative 2, well that's the absolute value of 9 minus what? 19 times 2, that's going to be 38. And negative times a negative, it's going to be positive. And 3 times 19, well 2 times 19 is 38. 3 times 19 would be adding 19, so I get 10 plus 38 plus 19 is 40, that's going to be 57. Here I get 9 plus 38, absolute value of 9 plus 38 is 47, 10 plus 57, well that's 67. So here we can see this does not equal, and since this does not equal, this right here is an extraneous solution. So I know that x cannot equal negative 19. So this right here is an extraneous solution. Here is my real solution. X equals negative 1/5. Okay? So I know this one was kind of rough. The ones in the homework shouldn't be this tough. But this has been absolute value equations. Hopefully the extraneous solutions don't trip you up too much.